So I got a question of the day for you guys, and that question is actually going to be, would you guys like to try to see me do a live picture-in-picture TCG narration? Because what I can do is the TV behind me now, I got an HDMI cable just for shits and giggles, and it's long enough to go from my laptop to the TV, and what I can do is I can just like put my mouse on top of the fish tank and play it from there, but I can also zoom in on cards and stuff like that, explain in depth what I actually have going on, and that'll be a little bit more help because I can take it at my own pace. I can make the video as long as I need to. So that was kind of an idea I had bouncing around in my head this morning, and yeah, it could be fun. I would have to figure out how to record it, and it would be a little bit of effort, so I'd want to see you guys, you know, definitely put some approval for it. Otherwise, you know, I won't really bother with it. But for now, I do have a game with the Archeops deck against a guy by the name of Bpray1. Really, really fucking good game. I was like, you know what? I'm going to play with Archeops until I get a good game. And I said this at like 9:30 in the morning. It's around... It's like 1:45 right now as I'm narrating this, and I just finished this game. So it takes a little bit of time to get a good game with it. But when I do, you know, it's a good game. So, with that in mind, all I have is a Terrakion right now. Kind of sucks. He's got a Drillbur, which means I can shut it down if I am actually able to get Archon in play, or Archeops in play quickly enough. Because, you know, his Poke Power, if you haven't been filled in on that, is it prevents evolutions. But for the time being, I'm just going to put down Cleffa, fucking Landorus, and Tyrogue. And I do have Research Record and Plume Fossil. Plan A is if there's an Arch in there, I'm going to send it straight to the bottom. Plan B is if there isn't, I'm going to keep all the cards at the top in case there is an Archon at the bottom. And as you saw, there was one at the bottom. So if I put cards at the bottom with Research Record, I probably could have pushed it out, which is, you know, I'm really glad I didn't. And because of that, that means I get an Archon up on turn 1, depending on how kind this Professor Oak's new theory is going to be. I could have an Archeops up as soon as turn 2. But the cheeky fuck decides to play Professor Elms and get himself an Excadrill. And I think that's like one of the only things in this deck that evolves anyway, and that's kind of a pain in the ass. But it turns out Honeclaws doesn't boost his damage when he evolves. I was thinking that it would, and then, you know, I would take 60 instead, but it doesn't, so whatever. Decide to Oak out into a new hand. I don't get any switches like I kind of wanted, or, you know, more energy or anything like that. I was like, if I can get a switch, an Archeops, or some more energy, that'll be great. And I don't. But I get all of my catchers. I don't know why I get all of my catchers, I just do. But for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and try to stall out, keep that throw in play until I can draw into either Switch or some better things. I decided Pokemon Collector to thin out my deck a little bit, just so I don't draw into those Terrakions a little bit, and, you know, just end up shuffling out my deck, just in case. I don't know what was coming up next, but it's different than what it is now. So, you can see that he puts an energy down on throw. If he wants to build this up to take me out, hey, he's welcome to. So, I was thinking about putting some energy on something, and I decided it's better to just build up a second Terrakion, because that first one's kind of fucked. But if he goes for Circle Throw, he will take me out, and that lets me bring in Cleffa to eke out my hand, because this hand honestly kind of sucks. And the problem that I'm seeing here is he puts down a Virizion, and that's kind of bad news, because Terrakion is weak to it. Leaf Wallop, you know, 1-2 Leaf Wallop will take out a Landorus as well as basically anything else in my deck, I think barring the Archeops itself. But I don't want Archeops out in the open. But then again, it doesn't really look like anything attacks, so if I have to, I will. It takes a bit of energy, and it doesn't have the highest damage output, but whatever. For now, he does take out my... what did he just take out? Terrakion? Yeah, that's what he had. So, that does let me eke out, and then if I draw into Twins, it'll let me use that as well, since I do run a couple of those in this deck. But for now, the phone's ringing, and that's really rude. I don't know why the phone's ringing. It better stop ringing. For now, I decide to... Can we just wait for that to stop? I'm not picking that up. Fucking unavailable. Okay. While we wait for the phone to fucking finish ringing. Oh my god. Stop. Stop. Thank you. Okay. Eke out for a new hand. And I bring in Virizion just because it can't attack. He's probably going to be more tempted to put an energy on it and then just double draw, and then he'll be good to go. And I think that's what he ends up doing anyway. That stupid phone. That threw off my train of thought. I am so sorry for that. But, whatever. Don't be fooled into thinking it was your phone, because it's not. It's my phone. I think they're leaving a message, too. How tacky. I'll go check that in a bit. But, for now, Cleffa is still asleep, and I decided I'm just going to build up that other Terrakion. And I do have, I guess I eked into Twins somewhere along the way, so I'm going to get Archeops, and I'm also going to get a Professor Oak in case my Cleffa does stay asleep. Or it wakes up on this next turn and ends up getting, you know, taken out or whatever. But, there's the fucking Archeops, and they forgot to hang up. I really hate it when they do that. Oh, fucking telemarketer's calling. and just being obnoxious and shit. Damn it. Okay, Cleffa does wake up, which is good and bad. It does power up my Retaliate, you know, if I were to not have another fighting energy, and then I can just get out of there with another switch. But as it is right now, I'm kind of just like, you know what, he's probably going to end up retreating out Virizion, going to either throw or Excadrill, and then just end up taking me out. The problem with this deck is it does have some really strong basics with high HP, but their damage output isn't high enough. Lander's only doing 80, Terrakion only doing 90. And I don't run plus powers in this deck. So what I've, you know, this little makeshift plan I have in my mind is I'm going to go ahead and try to use Terrakion's Retaliate, or, you know, Tyrogue and Terrakion are going to work together. You know, Tyrogue giving me the extra 30. And then I do have a Revive in this deck somewhere. I think I have 1 or 2 Revives because I don't have a whole lot of basic Pokemon. Cool thing about Research Record is it does work with Sharon, so what I can do is rearrange the cards that I want to get, send the rest of the bottom that I don't want, and then I'm going to put a third energy on Terrakion and use Sharon to pull out these same things that I picked out. So I got myself a Junk Arm and a Fighting Energy, as well as another Junk Arm, which is the card that happened to be below it. But I decided Junk Arm out the Archon and the, what was that? Communication, I think it was, because I don't need another Archon, and I don't really need another Communication either. But I decided Catcher in that other throw, retreat out to Terrakion, so I can take it out with a combination of Retaliate and Land Crush. And then I should be pretty safe as long as the Virizions don't get any Grass Energies or Rainbow Energies on them. It seems more likely that he'd be running Rainbow Energy, but if he does run a couple Grass and whatever. Here is what confused me. I don't think he knows how Archeops works, because he puts down Timber, and I don't think he either gets any evolutions for the duration of this game, or he doesn't, you know, try evolving them or whatever. But the thing is that he puts down a lot of basics that do have evolutions for some reason. But as you can see, I go for either the Retaliate or the Land Crush. They both do the same amount of damage. But I'm going to go ahead and Oak out for a new hand, and then Tyrogue's Mischievous Punch does do 30 damage, which is going to be enough to take that thing out. Now, if Tyrogue stays asleep, that's fantastic, because that'll buy me a little bit of time. If it does wake up, then I can go ahead and go for another Retaliate. I don't know why it keeps saying that Retaliate is so relevant. I guess in a hypothetical situation where I only had 2 fighting energies on Terrakion, and not a third. Because I can just Land Crush if I really want to. I'm just saying Retaliate because it's fucking fancy, and I'm like, I will avenge you, you silly Tyrogue baby thing. But for now, he sends in Throw, which can definitely take me out. And I'm looking okay right now. I'm really scared of both of those Virizions, and what I'm going to want to do is basically kill everything but them. Because of Terrakion can only take 1 Leaf Wallop, and then that does over half of my damage, which kind of sucks. For now, I decide the best thing to do is to probably go into Terrakion just so I can be ready to attack on the next turn. And if Landers does need to get some more energies on him, I want to keep at least 1 so we can keep going for the Abundant Harvest or whatever. But I see that his Timber is an easy target. I'm debating whether or not to take the bait and, you know, just take it out. But I decided to go for an MC's Chatter because I don't have enough Sharons just in general. But what do I have? I have a Junk Arm, so I can Junk Arm out another Plume Fossil and Archon, or that might have been my first one and I was speaking from a different narration. But I am also using Catcher, which gives me the potential to Junk Arm out the Catcher, you know, using those 2 that I was just talking about. But for now, just go ahead and take out the Timber for the easy kill. And I think he tries to put down another one somewhere along the way just because he's really determined on getting that Conkeldurr up. Except Archeops is not going to have any of that. And right as I kill off 1 basic, he puts down 2 more. I'm like, you're making this really easy for me, just to let you know. The higher priority one, you know, if things were to absolutely go his way and he got a Catcher and then he took out my Archeops before I was able to get it out of there in time, I'd want to take out the Drowsy because the Hypno does have the Poké Power where it puts my shit to sleep. So I'm not really too worried about Timber or anything either. The thing that some people don't really know is you can use Rare Candy to bypass Archeops evolution thing. So if you ever play an Archeops deck and you do have 3 stagers and you have a basic and you do have a Rare Candy, you are allowed to play that, but that's the only thing that'll circumvent it. For now, I'm going to go ahead and decide to Junk Arm out the Plume Fossil and the Archon because, as you may have already noticed, I already have another Archeops in play. And we're just going to go ahead and take out the Drowsy this turn for an easy kill. And that kind of evens up, or the Drowsy or the Timber. I think I'd go with the Drowsy. That makes a lot more sense, I guess. If he was running Rare Candies, which I don't think he would be, but because since he's just got a bunch of stage 1s and then the 1 stage 2 thing. Anyways, for now, I'm going to go ahead and Oak out for a new hand and then Research Record. This Research Record actually ends up being a little bit vital in the order that I pick it. I was like, you know what, we'll do that, and I was like, wait, no, I'm gonna want that twins a little bit sooner, so I decided to reverse it, because what I want to do is I want to revive the Tyrogue and then start getting that Terrakion Tyrogue thing going on. But for now, I take out the Drowsy, even up the score, and then next turn I will be able to revive. I'm going to try to put some more energies on Terrakion as well. I think it might be in danger of being taken out this turn, my Terrakion, depending on whether or not I was going to be able to kill it off. I think I put an energy on Landorus on that turn on accident, but well, not really on accident. I guess I just wasn't really thinking too far ahead. But after the research record, things get a little bit quick, and I do have to sit down, metaphorically, I suppose, for a little bit and think about what I'm doing. And then he's put down the next thing that I can kill off. He puts down a Tyrogue. Now, what I can do is I can kill off the Timber and the Tyrogue, provided I get some more Junk Arms. I know I have a couple more floating around in my deck. I think I've only used 1 or 2 tops, so I have to have 2 more. Haven't really looked in detail at my deck, but he does take me out with the Drill Run, which is like, I wasn't really expecting that, I guess, based on my damage. But I'm going to send in Landorus because it does have free treat and things because reasons. So right now, as tempting as it is to revive Tyrogue, I don't want it to get damaged by the Gaia Hammer, so I'm going to hit Excadrill for 80. And that'll damage everything on the field, you know, excluding us for 10. So bench all of the benches for 10. What does he do here? He can attack me with a Drill Run, which I don't think will end up taking me out. Or he can retreat and decide to go into something else to take me out. But the fact of the matter is I still have enough energy in my hand, and then just things in general to keep going for 1 more turn. However, he is building up that Virizion on the back. I didn't even see the motherfucker put a Grass Energy on it. And that kind of scared me a little bit, because Leaf Wallop is a little scary. For now, I'm going to go ahead and revive. And then I'm debating on whether or not I do want to hard switch out or to do a normal switch out. And I was like, I'm just going to do a hard switch out, because I might need that switch for Terrakion, because I can't really bank on my Junk Arms too much. But a Mischievous Punch will be enough to take out the Excadrill. And had I, you know, revived the Tyrogue a turn earlier, the 20 from the Rocky Helmet that the Excadrill had, along with the 10 from the Earthquake thing, Gaia Hammer, I think that's what it does, would have taken it out at the end of this turn. And I still need Tyrogue alive. Because as you can see right now, the Retaliates I was talking about earlier, I don't have as much energy on Terrakion as I'd like to have. But what this will let me do is it'll let me send in Terrakion now or Landorus and then decide to go for the Retaliate. Now, I draw into my twins. That's the only reason I sent in Terrakion, because I knew that I could get some things. And I do see one of my Junk Arms, and this is all I have left in my deck, guys. I have 10 cards left in my deck, which is, I wasn't really paying attention to that. So I decided to get my Junk Arm and my Super Rod. And Super Rod's going to let me pick 3 things to put back into the deck, you know, combination of Pokemon and or energy. But what I'm going to definitely do right now is I'm trying to think about which thing I can catch her in. I do have 2 prizes left, and he only has 1. So I can Junk Arm out the Archon and the Pokemon Communication. And all of these things just kind of line up, because if I had Junk Armed out the Collector, I would have been fucked, let me tell you, because the Super Rod is actually going to help me out in a little bit. I'm definitely going to hang on to that switch. But for now, the Virizion has not gone for a Leaf Wallop, so it's not 80 damage, it's only 40, so I can take 1, as I previously mentioned. But it's going to be either between, you know, bringing in Timber or bringing in Tyrogue. I decided to bring in Timber just because it has more HP, and I know that'll be a sure kill. And I was really close to hitting OK right there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually get myself a Terrakion and 2 more fighting energy, so I can have this last Terrakion ready to go in case that first one takes damage. And then I can go ahead and use Collector on it next turn. So the score is tied at 1-1, and look who pulls into the Junk Arm right at the last moment. So whatever Pokemon he sends in right now, provided, you know, that my Terrakion doesn't end up dying for some freak chance, I can Junk Arm out the cards in my hand and take out the Tyrogue, because it does have a less amount of HP. So the fact that I picked the Timber over the Tyrogue right there, very, very vital to how this game's going to go. And he sends in Throw. He probably could have sent in Virizion. That would have worked out a little bit better for him. But the other thing he can do is I think he's going to try to either Circle Throw or Storm Throw right now. Circle Throw just to either stall for a little bit of time, or Storm Throw just to, you know, try to go for the kill, because it's, you know, it's super much damage and things like that. But he tries to go for the Circle Throw just to stall for a little bit of time, I guess. I do have that Landorus in play still, which is fantastic. So what I get to do right here is I'm going to go ahead and Junk Arm out the Collector. And I guess, you know, I decided I didn't really need it now because I drew into that Junk Arm. The other plan was to use a switch to get the second Terrakion up into play. But right now, I get the catcher in that tie rogue, and as you can see, Retaliate does 30, but I'm going to put the extra energy just to do the extra, 60 with Land Crush for 90, which leaves me, with the very, very, very narrow 1-0 victory. If I did not get that Junk Arm at the end, I probably would have lost, let me tell you. But that's how it worked out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. It's really hard to get a good game with Archeops. So, if you enjoyed it, let me know. Please let me know on this one above any other video. And we got this for today, so that'll do it for today. I will see you guys probably tomorrow.